Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today on Dynamo BIM. Super exciting news today. Our friends with Dell have partnered up with the Dynamo BIM channel. We're going to make it super easy for me to get content out to you with my brand new Dell Precision 5760. It has an 11th gen Intel processor and an NVIDIA RTX 3000. Let's get testing. Today's episode is going to focus on the automation of the title block key plan. You may have seen the last Danamo BIM episode where we talked through building that key plan into the title block. Make sure you check out the link below to reference that video if you did not see it. Definitely essential in this step. So what we've done here is we've essentially built in the key plan, you can see here, and we have some visibility parameters that essentially drive whether it's visible and what part of the key plan is actually visible, whether the east, west, middle portion, or none of them, right? Just an outline, if you will. And of course, we can also turn the bad guy off, right? So that he just doesn't show at all. Maybe for some of our general sheets and other things where we don't need to reference the key plan. So what we're going to do is we are going to have Dynamo, of course, read the sheet number. In this case, you can see that my sheet numbers directly correspond to whether they're east, the midsection, or the west portion of my building. So I can use that data to populate my key plan. So we're going to, of course, open up Dynamo. In Dynamo, we're just going to go ahead and start new. Now, just like within a Revit schedule, we are going to grab all of the elements of a category. In this case, we're going to grab all title blocks, and we're going to filter them down based off of the family that they are. We only want to grab the title blocks that have these key plans built in, right? Not the cover title block or any others that we have loaded into the project. Once we have those, we can then ask them what sheet number they correspond to. Then, of course, based off of that, the sheet number is the suffix will tell us what key plan to then turn on for that sheet. And just like within a schedule, we are going to grab all of the elements of a category. In this case, we're going to grab all title blocks. It is, of course, case sensitive, so I do need to make sure that I'm typing title blocks as Revit knows title blocks. Then I'm going to go ahead and get category by name. I like to do this category by name when I'm hardwiring a category rather than giving a user specification, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we give some user inputs. This case, you'll see this does not give me a warning. It does obtain the title block category. And now, of course, I can get all elements of that category, just like my schedule would do, right? Except in this scenario, I kind of need to tell specifically Dynamo to do that for me. Now, in this case, I only have my 30 by 42 horizontal title block, but I'm probably going to add a cover page later. Maybe I have some sketch sheets and design sheets, what have you. So I want to start to filter this down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask this family instance what family it is. So family instance dot get family. You'll notice also that I have this on automatic, which means that I am going to automatically get results. This may be something that I want to turn off later. You can see here now that it reports the family of this specific instance. In this case, they're all the same, which is absolutely fine. I then want to get the element name, element dot name of these elements, so that I can start to filter them down. Now, this is the scenario where I would actually start to give some user inputs. This is really great when we want to allow multiple users across multiple different projects to utilize these types of scripts. As long as the key plants have been built into the title block in the same way, this script should work across multiple projects. Okay, so in this case, we're going to specify the title block, oh goodness, family name of sheets to be updated. I like to make my inputs pink, ensure that I right click and make this an input so that we can interface with Dynamo player later. In this case, I want to go ahead and use the E1 30 by 42. Now, of course, you could type this out manually. I'm going to go ahead and find my annotation symbols, rename this, and I can just copy it and paste it into my string. Nice little cheat there, right? So once again, I just found the title block family within annotation symbols, right click the family, renamed it, copied that value, pasted it right into that string. Now, I can essentially query whether this name of the title block that's being reported equals the name that my user will specify. So I'm going to use the equal x equal to y and ask these sheets, do you equal the value that I want you to? And of course, yes, all of them do. Now, if I were to come into my project and switch out this title block to be something else, right? Like maybe one of my sketch title blocks, you'll see because it's set to automatic, I will now dynamically get a false value within Revit. Of course, I do not want to do that, but once again, planning for later, when I have a cover page, when I have some sketches, when I have other design sheets that aren't sheets with a key plan built in, right? So we need to be cognizant of that, especially when we're working across multiple projects, trying to account for multiple different users to run the script. Now I can filter these sheets out based off of whether they equal the name that I've specified. All right, so when I go ahead and do the filter by Boolean mask, I should get all 8 reported in my in, which means that the index is true, right? It reported as true. Once again, if I were to come in here and switch this title block, I would then have 7. We start at 0 within Dynamo, and I would have 1 report in the out list, meaning that it is not true, right? That actually breaks the rule that I'm asking of it. In this case, its name value does not match, right? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that again, and you can see once again I get all 8. So this essentially is allowing me to get all title blocks, filter by family, so that once again, I'm only interfacing with the title blocks that have the key plan built in. Wonderful. Now that I have those title blocks collected, I can then ask them, what's their sheet number, right? These title blocks have a parameter value of sheet value, so I can ask element get parameter value by name and get the sheet number value. Now in this case, I do not need this to be dynamic. I'm always going to run it by sheet number. In this case, our standard is to have the suffix tied to the quadrant of the sheet. You can see then I get all of my sheet numbers, right? Of those 8 sheets that pass the rule that I asked of it, right? Now that I have the sheet number of the sheets that pass my rule that I've asked of it, right? Of those sheets with the title block that I've specified, I can then ask, what is the suffix, right? I can start to specify if the suffix is E, then turn on the E corresponding key plan, right? Or the E key plan. Now, in this case, I tried to make it super, super clear with this parameter value here. You can see I've numbered it 0, which this is an integer. Go back to that video if you want a full explanation of it. 0 is east, 1 is the middle, 2 is west, right? So if it has an E as a suffix, I want this value for key plan underscore 0E underscore 1M underscore 2W to be 0, right? And to get this value and to ensure that I do not mess up the typing of that, because you guys can see with this little gaming keyboard, I am not very good at ensuring I am typing correctly. So I'm just going to go in there, edit the parameter, grab that parameter, and use that in a string value so that I can specify the parameter to be updated. I guess it's actually a title block. Parameter to be updated. So in this case, I now know 0 is E, 1 is M, 2 is W, right? So going back a little bit here, I want to ask, does this string value, which the sheet number is a string, right, which is just essentially an assembly of characters, numbers, letters, etc., does it end with an E, right? So bring this back up here, string dot ends with, and in this case, I'm actually going to once again give my user an input and say, specify suffix of sheets to set key plan, right? So specify sheet number, suffix of sheets to set, except, right? Once again, I like to make this pink for my inputs. Copy my group value. Just a little bit of housekeeping, gonna keep it clean for me. And does this end with E? And you can see I start to get some trues and falses, right? Index 1 is true. Index 4 is true. All else are false, right? So for those specific sheets that are true, 1 and 4 in my scenario, I want to update this parameter, which I'm going to once again create a group, make it pink. I want this to be 0, right? So I'm going to go ahead and filter my title blocks based off of this Boolean value now. And I'll create a group, filter sheets, well, title blocks, by sheet number stuff. Alrighty. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to update the sheet, these values, these two, right? Index 1 and 4 that actually end with E. I'm going to update those with the parameter of keyplan 0E1M2W with a 0. Now to set that number value, I need an integer slider. And essentially, within this integer slider, I can change the max value to 2 because I only need to go from 0, 1, and 2. Make this a pink group per usual. I'm going to say specify the plan to set. In this case, I'm going to tell the user 0 equals E, 1 equals M, and 2 equals W. Oh my goodness. Now, in this specific scenario, I can take these values and copy them from the group header into the node header. And essentially what this will do is it will allow the user to see this as an input within Dynamo Player. Super cool, nice little trick. You unfortunately cannot do line breaks within the node name itself. It will just complete the name, finish out that task, if you will. So now that I have my integer, in this case, I want a 0 because I've called for all of the sheets with an E as a suffix, I can now set these elements based off of the parameter value, right? So I'll do element dot set parameter value by name. These two being the parameters that I would like to update. This is my parameter name and the integer that goes with it, the value right here. And you can see dynamically, automatically, this sheet here that ends with E automatically had its key plan changed. If I look at the instance properties of this title block, you'll see it has a 0. So I can quickly come in here and change my allocations. In this case, within Dynamo Player. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure all of my pink nodes are actually set to be inputs, right? So that they actually do interface within Dynamo Player. And I finish off my grouping. I like to do anything that actually updates anything within Revit. Create the transaction within Revit to be in orange. And maybe even do a watch node. In this case, I want to maybe just display the sheet numbers. So I will actually copy these values over and re-ask these sheets, what are your sheet number, right? And then I can say sheets updated with, make this an output in this scenario and go ahead and group this to be a reporting. So now that I have this all figured out, I can do a save as. Just going to go ahead and save this to my desktop. What am I updating? Title blocks and their key plan. I'll just say title block key plan. Now I can go ahead and open up Dynamo Player, navigate to my desktop, hit the edit inputs, so that I have all of those wonderful inputs that I created to interface with the title block family, the key plan parameter. In this case, I want to update my M to be my 1 values, hit play. You can see it goes ahead and reports 2 sheets once again with the M value, and lastly, 2, my W. Let me know in the comments below if you found this interesting. We could also do this same script or same workflow within Dynamo utilizing a dictionary. Definitely talked about dictionaries within our Dynamo shorts in the past. A dictionary would allow us to wire the 0 and the E, the 1 and the M, so that regardless of what the suffix was, it would just automatically update based off of that dictionary value. I'll go ahead and link the video on dictionaries below. Once again, let me know in the comments if you want me to do another video on title block key plans utilizing dictionaries. Thanks so much for watching today. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And thanks so much for Dell for this wonderful machine. Had a great time playing with.